Hello, here we are for the ninth 45B Design Center call. I have a number of people coming up, so I'm just gonna start letting people in. So we have Harsha, welcome. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you.
Cool, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Human, welcome.
Hello.
All good? Early morning for you, right?
Yeah, slightly. Yeah. 10 o'clock. It's not super early. It's morning though.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we have Rafael as well, closer to me in the time zones. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Hello, everyone. I'll be on the
Hey,
move.
man. Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you, Newman, and Arsha
Yeah.
as well.
Hey.
Now that we don't have Catalyst, I guess we at least have a space to meet.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely.
I'm on the move, so I won't be able to put my camera on, and I might take a while to answer, but still, I wanted to be here.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Great stuff. That's the way to do it. Just show up. Simon, nice to see you as well. I guess I'm the only one like opening my camera, so it's a bit odd, but yeah.
We're here. We're with you.
Cool. All good. Simon, can you maybe he can talk? I'll just
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Hi.
what's happening? Oh man, it's like a whole family
Welcome.
reunion here.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Okay, let me try to start organizing this. I still see one more person, Jonas, who apparently doesn't have devices to come up. So I can't really invite you to speak. Otherwise, I'm going to let everyone on stay. I'm going to let everyone stay on stage so that you can speak and jump in at any point. I'm going to skip over, any much reintroduction of the project. This is the 9th call already. Welcome, Naomi. I'm assuming she's still connecting. So yeah, for the 9th call, the goal is something that I've been hinting at and trying to get to, but I haven't been able to that much. But similar to previous calls, the goal of today's call, and with a commitment for the next one that we really need to push through and reorganize everything. So the goal of the call is that we gather input and start wrapping up the knowledge and all the insight from all the diverse discussions that we had in multiple formats, so that ideally the next week's call at the same time today as this one will be a live session with a bit more structured presentations. I was just talking with Thyme. I know that I DM'd some of you saying that I was trying to get her on today's call. Hopefully she can be here for next call. Maybe some more designers that we've contacted with from the ecosystem, and have that presentation be open to the community in a bit more groomed format. So, really get it out there. Does that sound good for everyone?
Yes.
Great stuff. We don't have thumbs up and down. I missed them in this platform, but yeah, it's cool. We still have some nice features, and ideally, this is exactly what we're trying to do as well, to share tooling so that you guys are more at ease in participating in StreamYard. And next week, when we're actually streaming live, you'll be more at ease with using the features, or going back and forth on the platform. Okay, so let's start with a quick project recap and catch up. I have a list of the calls that we've done so far. I was organizing this because some of the call notes and everything are still here, a bit, all over the place, like you guys are very familiar at Gimbal Labs. But yeah, I put together this, which is actually from my Google Sheet where I organize other projects as well. And so I'm really happy, although, like I said, I've been pushing this every week as a chore to keep it up. But I think I'm really happy with how it's turned out, because so far we've had Google Meets, 3 of them. Then we had an X Space, which was interesting because we had Roberto and Macroman there, who, I think we only caught him there because of using X and not Google Meets. And then we did a nice StreamYard that I was just reutilizing yesterday. So I think most of you remember that we did this ideation of an app on Figma, which we realized Figma was actually using Claude internally. And using StreamYard as well, I was able to create a number of reels or shorts, and I was publishing them. So I really invite you to have a look at that thread. It should be on most of you guys' notifications. Otherwise, get in touch and we'll point you to it, or just head to 45B_Cardano on X. Coming back to the calls that we've had, today is actually the second StreamYard that we're doing. We also had another X Space. We've had 2 more Google Meet calls. And because I wanted to do this and to recap, I really DM'd a lot of people more to really try to get everyone on board. Also, before we jump into a bit more like the content that we saw on each call, we have been circulating this kind of sheet that I was actually improving yesterday, so I can tag all of you, some of you, most of you, on X. And I again point out that you can jump onto it. I'm going to skip ahead just to get the new Miro link that I created. So I created a design dot, I'm going to drop it in here as well. You see, design.45b.io/Miro. It's going to send you to this project's Miro board. I'm going to drop it in the chat. I see Newman had already dropped the long Miro link. This one is a shortened, easier version to remember. Thanks, Newman.
Nice.
Cheers. Meanwhile, I'm adding Tara to the call as well. And from time to time, I see Ahmed as well. Welcome. Great to have you here, to both of you. If someone doesn't know Tara, he was a participant in our Web3 workshops in Portuguese. And it's really good to start seeing people coming across 45B projects to share or to learn a bit, or to just be exposed to different angles of Web3. We have taken a quick look at the list of calls. In terms of the participants list, it's also, like I was going to say, now that you have access to the Miro board, you can always come here and get to that sheet to sign up, to share your socials with the other participants here, so that you can network directly and you're not depending on 45B for that. Any further details that you want to add there, or ideas? The ideas term is there because at a point I added a tab here for us to share our Catalyst proposals. And so any other ideas that you want to use this sheet for, be my guest, okay? Goal is to help you network further. And as usual, we invite you to join our Discord, because it's where it's easier to talk about this project and create threads and all that. So for that, you can use links.45b.io. Then let's have a quick look at the topics that we covered in our calls. I'm going to continue going through my notes, but please feel free to open your mic and jump in with any questions or suggestions, anything at all. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Just diving a bit further into this. So on the first call, we had just basically orientation about the project. We got some feedback about what we could do in each of the 3 pillars of the project. By the way, it could be a good reminder to have a quick look at those. We've spoken several times. So there's calls, which is basically the main thing we've been doing so far. There's a portal, and there's a syllabus for this portal that's being matured in a Google Doc that You can see here, we're going to go over it very briefly today. And then there are the interventions where Rafael's project, Andamio, Z-Poker from Seaman, they are all already being lined up as potential benefactors. How do you say the word there? Beneficents? Sorry, my English is failing me. Yeah, so the goal is that we intervene in your projects, that we contribute to help the user experience or the getting user feedback, design on your projects. So for that, today we're going to do a quick look at the form notes, the form outline that I have on the other screen, and I'll bring it up at that time. So that was a quick recap of the project structure. Then on the second call, we were basically looking at Bitcoin.design and Noster design. I think there's a portal for that. I'm not sure of the URL. And we learned a fair bit. That's some of the input that we got for our portal was obtained in this second call. There was, miscellaneous other topics that we covered. And by the way, since I was doing all this, I still realize there's the X spaces and a number of calls that I need to publish, but you can already go to this shortened link as well, design.45b.io/YouTube YT, and there you'll see the playlist. I think I have it here somewhere, but yeah, for now it's still missing some things. But feel free to go back there if you want to zoom or to zap through the calls. Another thing that I'm working on in terms of the calls for our several initiatives is to have some kind of vibe-coded page that allows you to skip to the highlights of the call. So it's a better version of YouTube's timestamps, where those are just chapters. I really wanted to have some kind of granular or hierarchical structure of, I want to see this video with just the TLDR sections. Does that sound good?
Yep.
I feel like I'm putting you to sleep. I'm just gonna change the song, the background music here, because it gets a bit irritating from time to time, right? Let me know if you ever feel that. I'm happy to switch it. Okay, we have Jonas as well joining us. Welcome, Jonas. We're cracking on, but you'll be able to catch up with the recording later on YouTube as well. So where were you? Where were we? On the second Google Meets call, we had Mauricio Navarrete from Cardumen, a Gov tool, a community governance tool. We were talking about his project and about ways of logging in, deep links, a number of things. Keep in mind, I'm doing this review of things so that you guys can sort of make a note of things that you want to bring us back to. So like I said, from my notes here, we want to gather your weighting and your priorities on everything I'm mentioning, okay? So deep links, for example, and different dynamics of logging in is something that we can explore a bit and document it, talk about it on calls, or even try to, think up in your projects, if you're signing up for an intervention, how we could work on that angle of your project. Okay. We also had a discussion with Shaggy on this third call here, which was really interesting. I know I still have some homework to follow up on from that. Next call, it was a first X space as an experiment, and we had Macroman sharing a bit about his AI experience, Roberto as well. We did, because we were on X, we did a bit of what's your best and worst UX reference on Cardano. That was really interesting, and that's something that I'm still going to organize a bit. I feel like this could be something that we create sort of like a table or a top 10 or something that could be interesting in the community as a dynamics. I've already mentioned the StreamYard call where we worked a bit on creating this app, and there's a number of things. The simplest way to have a look at this is again from our X to have a look at the shorts, and I'm gonna go over it just for the sake of time. The other space that we did on February 27th, we had Manuel Titi, who's in the open source committee, encouraging us to have a look at this project as well and add an OS component to it. We also spoke with Aomi, who's on the call here. Aomi is sort of an X Spaces host as well, so she helped me very much in these two spaces, especially to not get rugged so much. And so we spoke a bit about her project as well. We hope that we can keep you in our radar and vice versa, so that we can continue collaborating where possible. And then these last two Google Meets were a bit more of a sort of one-on-one, literally, with Marco last week, and with Harsha and Preston. With Preston, we talked a bit about Lighter Nation's work and tooling, and with Harsha, I think mostly we spoke about overall art and art was mostly for Preston's art direction work in Lighter Nation, and Harsha was chipping in as well in terms of overall UI UX. Marco is someone who's on the 45B's team section in our website. He's an SPO, but he's also front end / back end dev. So, but he usually just sketches up his own apps. Even before vibe coding, he was out there just saying, okay, I have this idea, I'm going to sketch up my app and build it, put it together, take it to market on my own. And so he's very, very aware of nice user experience. Trying to get him on the next call as well, so we can ideate further. Guys, any feedback so far? Any main points that you felt were interesting that maybe you weren't on these calls and that you want to highlight? I think everyone is just doing their thing and using me as a radio show or something. Did any of these terms make you think, oh yeah, this is something that I want to talk about? Or if not, what would be some things that you also want to bring to our radar?
Well, one thing that would be curious is onboarding experience. I think that would be curious to talk about. If I don't know what you think, but if you compare like traditional Web 2 apps, we have better onboarding experiences, but it's not only because of the technology, it's also because, well, sometimes even complex Web 2 apps, they take you through things like step by step. Sometimes they have guides and stuff like that you can go to learn things. But for some reason, you don't see that approach that much on Web3. And that's curious. I don't know if you guys would be interested in talking about that, or if you have anything to say.
That's really cool. I'm already adding it to the board here. We have a section just for sandboxing concepts. Just to capture some sticky notes on what you mentioned. You said guides. You said maybe we could keep an eye on like contrasting Web 2 and Web 3 onboarding experiences, right?
Yeah, especially onboarding experience. And now they are different, right? Web 2 is very guided, and for example, they divide things. When you need to do multiple things, they divide it into small steps, and they try to guide you through it. And sometimes they have guides. And Web3, that usually many, or at least in Cardano, doesn't happen a lot. I'll give you an example. I don't know, you're gonna start trading, for example. You start with a platform, they will go like step by step, like, hey, create your login. Then they go, hey, where are you located? What is this? And they will do all these questions like step by step. And then you might have something later that you need to do your ID. or something later to deposit funds. Like they have these things, these steps implemented to make it a bit simpler.
Yeah.
And I don't see
even
that a lot in Web3, right? For example,
Yeah.
you go to Liquid or something, you don't have any steps of what to do next.
Yeah, I would say maybe even the stages. So not just the steps, so that would be like in an onboarding guide or something, but like having stages or UI modes per, let's say, persona. I was DMing with Nuno, who's a designer from our side as well, and he was pointing out that when he's developing UI UX, he usually starts with personas, and so maybe that helps us a bit when you're logging in. Now remember, Rafael, some applications like Figma or something ask you, are you a product person? Are you a designer? Are you a copywriter? Or something like that, right? So yeah. It's very interesting that you mentioned that.
That also makes sense, because they probably, depending on what you answer, they will take you through different steps of the app or to different things that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in your app, for example, do you feel like you could have like an easy mode or an advanced mode, or you have different personas as well using your app, right?
Yeah, that's actually something we are exploring right now, and that's maybe why I asked this topic, is because of that process of onboarding, which can be a little bit complex to people. But it's dividing into steps is also, it takes some logistics sometimes, right? Because you need to put things on chain, and sometimes there are things that need to come in the same step. So you gotta do some kind of tricks, right, to make things into the memory or something, so that you can then put everything into chain at the same moment. So it's there's like some little complexities in practice. Yeah, that would be something we would like to do. We need to explore how, because it's also it can be very resource consuming, and it's like, I guess you need to figure it out as well with the client, maybe in an initial stage. What are the best things for them to learn, right? Because you can think you know and assume, but your assumptions can be completely wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm adding this here as well, because when in Web 2, everyone's already used to what is login with Google and all that. But in our case, we always need to add something, right? And that's why some people, like UTXO's project now in Cardano, wants to just allow you to log in with Google, and that's it. Human, you wanted to jump in?
Well, yeah, just to jump in on this, I do think that it has a lot to do. I think what Raf said about the user-centered design, and that definitely fits in with persona, and really centering like what and how people use it, and we also say getting out of the building, meaning that we design it for ourselves. And from speaking personally, it's been a long time since I was a beginning user in the Web3 space. So I think that's a pitfall that we can all get out of, that we can all fall into, a pitfall that we can all fall into. But there are techniques for doing that, and it's sort of in the zone of user experience design or user research. And it always changes from year to year, especially now, with the pace of change. What I focus in on most is that bit of education, which is also sort of blown up. A course, like what exactly is a course, but some type of educational experience would be what I'm. Yeah.
From Gimbal Labs' perspective, you usually, like, your goal is to teach developers, right, or to teach builders, let's say.
That's right.
James, I think, avoids the developer term, right? For me, looking at this theme that Rafael was talking about, I'm thinking of, okay, we want to let people use things, let people select their persona or something, but keep this part to a minimum. Sorry, keep this part to a minimum. So don't explain what a wallet is. I usually avoid, like on my Web3 onboarding things, I say there's a term called UTXOs, but we're just going to call them coins. So you expend this coin, you get 2 coins back, your NFT is in a coin, and that's it. So to use familiar terms, I think, is my way of dealing with it. But in your case, because you are teaching development, you literally are putting together courses on matters, right? So I'm just going to add here concepts built in courses, right? And sorry, maybe I'm not expressing it that well, but I'm just wanting to contrast your goal. And I
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Harsha, I think you're breaking up a bit. Oh, sorry, it's Newman.
Yeah, Newman is a little, like, he's having internet issues.
Could you repeat, Newman? Or maybe, unfortunately, I'm going to ask you to switch off your camera. Maybe your audio is going to stabilize.
I think you're back, Newman. You can.
I'm back. Okay.
Newman is back.
I'm back. Yay! Hooray! Yeah, I do think that it can be diataxis. Diataxis is the framework that I think helps with this mixing up the different types of documentation. Basically, it's a framework for explaining the different types, and that's, I think, might be useful to someone like Raphael, who's building some documentation. Anybody out there that's building documentation, because it's the only framework that I know for how to tackle this task. And that
how do you spell that? I'm not sure I understood what you mentioned there. But sounds interesting. If it's like a framework that we can use for this type of problem.
And basically, I think what you're talking about is the sort of end user and the builder, and then really the infrastructural list. You know, somebody that's doing infrastructure that needs to know, for instance, if you're building a web page, you need to know the HTTP protocol. You need to know how a GET request works, or the DNS. Yeah, that's it.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks,
this
Newman.
may something. I mean, it's it's more resources, so many things to learn. It relatively, for me, was an aha moment, and I haven't really been able to implement it directly. But there's a couple of mindset shifts. But one of the things that I do have to get going. My Friday's super busy as I try to close out the week. Even though a course is, I think it's becoming more and more of an antiquated term with like onboarding experiences and AI tutoring, etc. But I still think it's a great way to organize the context for a learner and to create and establish a path or a way to credential, to use sort of a top mind thing. So that would be an interesting focus for me, and I think for the Andamio Gimbal Labs crew, trying to establish like what are the student learning targets, for instance, or when you're building an app, or like your app, Raphael, you've got this, and I really want this app, by the way. I'm hoping that you get it out there, and I can start using it, because I'm a bit worried about what happens when I can't sign into my machines. Oh, now I just got scared about. But yeah,
come on.
but each app, there's a set of skills and tasks that we're required to use, and if you write those down, and then that's kind of like breaking up the elephant to eat it. That's sort of how to make a bite-size learning path for somebody. So just some basic skills, basic patterns for how to onboard, how to educate, how to document your system could be a big thing. Yeah, basic.
I was actually writing about basic concepts that we could include in our knowledge base. It's I'm even embarrassed to open it, because it's really just a placeholder.
I guess,
but this part here, maybe we are there. So, for example, when I say here, Lovelace Notion, Ada and Lovelace Notions and rendering, this is for designers, but we could have a basic concepts for designers and the basic concepts for users, so that I'm not sure, maybe eventually we could split the website content, but this basic notion for non-technical people of what is a wallet seed phrase, and what is a wallet app, those need to be like one-liners. But I'm sorry, did you want to add something more, like on?
Well, it's the difference. It's the difference between a concept and a task, I guess. What users are generally, what we think users are concerned about is a task, and that we as teachers or the owner of something and how we built it, we say, oh, well, you need to understand these concepts first. And so you want to have one strategy is to have as little concept as possible, and just give people the task. Now, the example that I like to use for this is the recipe. Have you ever gone to like a website and you're trying to get a recipe for chicken soup, and the first third of the website is all about how they learned how to use the chicken, the soup, and it was their grandma's chicken soup, and I've done this, and that the reason why chicken tastes so good and the medicinal properties, these are all concepts. The concept of where I got the recipe, the concept of health of chicken soup, or why it tastes good on a cold day. But what the learner or the person that came to that site is interested in is, how long do you have to cook it, or do you have to wash it, or what spices to rub on it. So basically what they may be wanting, they may be wanting, the conceptual understanding. They could be a chef that is really interested in the person that wrote it, or we don't know, I guess. So this is part of the diataxis model, is to just say, hey, give people, we used to call it performance support. Like, I'm making chicken soup, I need to remember the steps in order. And those, in my mind, are those hello world processes, where I just need to become a user for your app, or join your community. Like, what is the hello world for GIMP Labs? And making those steps very explicit and simple for people to engage in and get an easy win. That's another concept. There's another design thing that we try to do, is give people like a simple step so that they become successful. Because if your hello world is turning people away, then you're going to have less and less adoption. So it's like, what is the what is the most basic recipe that makes people, you know, an app user or gets them to sign up.
And not just that, but it gives people the wheel on like the steering wheel on things. When what we're doing now on our Web3 workshops is like literally on the second call, I'm telling people to install a Vesper wallet, turn it to pre-prod, and let's send and receive some tokens.
Right.
Because after they've done it, it's, you know, it means differently, right? This was a great brainstorm. Thanks to Raphael for raising it. Thanks to Newman and to everyone for chipping in where you feel is useful. I'm gonna include this in our radar for sure. Just conscious of time, we should come back to the program, if that's okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, I keep adding people to the stage and people are dropping off, but that's perfectly fine. I'm sorry if you're going through trouble. Give me feedback asynchronously, and I don't know. Let's try to tackle it as we can. Okay, so just coming back here, because as you can see there, we have a number of things to cover, and so that was sorry. This was one of them. Now, okay, we've looked at the calls, we've looked at the overview of topics that we've covered. Let's go over very quickly the knowledge base outline doc. Any feedback and ideas are welcomed, and just to bring it from the Miro board as well. You'll notice I've started reshuffling all this. It's growing downwards because I keep cluttering it and then reorganizing it. So where here we had our entry point, here we have the project structure. Now we have these three sections, which are developments of these three pillars that we had here. And then while I'm like zoomed out, this is all just resources and knowledge that we're dropping in here. For example, today, Raphael raised the onboarding experience for end users, and we were ideating here. There's also here onboarding non-Web3 designers, which is the core of this project as well. With Marco last week, we were discussing like coding in the age of AI, Figma first versus code first. So this like could the code be the looks? And I just work on the code and refresh the browser, and that's it. That's how I used to do websites in Notepad back in the 90s. So there was no Dreamweaver, there was no whatever came after. Okay, and then here we have some notes that say today and next call, but these are actually from like some calls ago. But eventually I'll organize this a bit further as well. Okay, now that we are more reoriented in the overall picture of the board, if we want to take a look at the knowledge base outline, it should make sense to you that it is here. So portal or knowledge base, sometimes I interchange those two terms, and it is being matured here, the structure of the portal or knowledge base, and I have it open here. So Roberto added a number of things, and I still haven't approved because I think it makes sense to keep it explicitly from his side currently. I'm just going to scroll through it because it would be hard to read through everything, and I'm going to make it a bit more readable for you guys. And I don't think I have too much wrapping this way. So I'm going to scroll through it, and if anyone wants to chip in and add something or comment, let me know. So again, this just to be clear, we're talking about design.45b.io, which is this Docusaurus installation, and we're reviewing what initially was this when I deployed the website. We're just like that. This was extended in that Google Doc, and we're now just like reviewing it overall. feel these things are something that we could touch on a bit on next week's call, which again is the goal of today, that we start identifying some things. If, assuming we have a couple of professional designers, which I'm not, I'm mostly a product person, this could be something that we could like try to get them to give us a 101 on. Just gonna put it in highlight there. This as well. Any thoughts?
So who is the persona? Like what kind of a person are you expecting to use this documentation?
Mainly designers, builders. Imagine the typical Web 2 UI UX person being onboarded to Cardano, being onboarded to Web 3. You know, so when they get here, they know what user flow is. They know all the jargon, but they don't know what ADA in a wallet are. They don't know that you're supposed to have a browser extension that connects to the website. So
right.
Yeah, but this is still just on the root of basic concepts on Web3 and Cardano. Maybe this could be put more outside in a design section, because it's not so much Web3. Yeah, I need to reorganize.
Yeah. I was just, that was what I was looking at. I was like, okay, like to go from, I mean, I don't think this is in order or anything, but just like the color theory, typography, and branding. And then I was thinking, it was like, oh, well, maybe there are some patterns or conventions for color in the Web3 space that a designer from Web2 might not know. And this kind of gets into just the look and feel, the design of Web3 as opposed to, or the visual design of Web3 as opposed to the data design. So for instance, in the data or like how a relational database is designed, or the data schema, are those changing from Web 2 to Web 3? And that's a sort of a different designer altogether. So the visual design and the sort of, I don't know what you would even call
it also, like, what we could do here is a bit like, there's the typical Web3 design. Let's say, for example, I'm more of a Web3 person, not so much a DeFi person, and there's all those neon looks and like I'm thinking of Indigo, for example. So if you want to be Web3 but not DeFi, then you want to detach from that. That's why our logo, for example, is without color. It's just a gray thing. It's like hypeless. It's trying to be hypeless but robust. Eventually we could use, by the way, the 45, if you type 45B as an X color, as an HTML color code, it's actually nice purple that we're using in some places. But yeah, so just to say that we can highlight how Web3 usually looks so that you can define yourself aligning or contrasting with it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Because, for example, we are more focused for ideally doing project management, for product management for small and medium businesses or even enterprises if we grow into that. So yeah, we want to align with the LinkedIn side, not the Facebook or Instagram side of things, audience. Okay, I'm just gonna browse further so we can move on. Yeah, these ones are more Web3 specific, and they go more into the weeds of things, right? One thing that, as you can see, we're still missing a lot of stuff in here. But one thing that I've mentioned today that we covered on calls that I would love to detail a bit further is the deep links. So actually, it's here that we can put them. You know, not to mention things like Game Changer, you know, which you probably know, right?
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move ahead, and I'll continue to work on this. But the goal is for next week that we have this document pushed to a stable version and this thing updated. And I'm also going to try to work on getting us a landing page here, because this is the out-of-the-box Docusaurus, and it's gives nightmares. Okay, and then the next point that it's very similar that I wanted to get feedback from you is we covered on one of the calls that I mentioned before. We looked into the signups form for the interventions. I think I've explained several times what the interventions are. It could be user experience, it could be testing, it could be a bit of design, like graphical design, or touch-up, like from scratch or doing touch-ups. If you're a project applying, like we have some on the call, where do I have it? I think I've closed it. Let's see, maybe it's here. No, I'm just gonna click here to see if it goes. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted you guys to give this a read very quickly and see if anything doesn't make sense, and if there's anything else that, as an applicant, you feel like, I want to talk about this side of my project, and that's not in the form.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it here for a minute or two, and then I'm going to turn the page. Hey, Rafael. We're just having a look at the sign-up form for the interventions to get your feedback on its structure or readability, understandability. Okay, so I'm going to move it forward, but I just wanted to point out, this one, for example, is opinionated. As the same way we want to foster open source because it's in the ethos of Cardano, value for value is something that is maybe more in 45B's ethos, where we in Bitcoin and in Web3 overall, we have this fluency of money, and I think one of the big advantages of Web3 is that you can pay granularly. So if you can stream value, why shouldn't you, like, you have these golf tools that we keep using, right? Why shouldn't you have a Hydra head where you've topped it up with 10 ADA and you're spending 10 ADA over the course of I don't know how many weeks to benefit that project? So this is the concept of value for value, if that makes sense to you. I'm not getting any feedback, so I'm assuming everything is fairly okay. Do you feel like there's gaps? We're getting to the end of it. Okay, no news is probably good news. So what I'll do finally is get this into a type form and publish it. I already even created a link for it. So one of those short links, it's just going to be design.45b.io/signup. And yeah, that's going to be it. thanks for having a look at it. And let's move on to the next section. Okay, so for next call, like I said, I want to have everyone here that has been engaging with us, and I want to have at least one designer, ideally two or more, because we don't want to be, picking winners. We have some designers in-house, and we want to give the stage a bit to some ecosystem designers. So this designers showcase is something that I think should be here as much as possible, managing time. One thing that we could also do is if you have a project that is in a particular UI UX dilemma or problem, we could look at your problem case, let's say problem situation. What else? Overall, we could go over, like we were doing as well, closing up the knowledge base index a bit further. And in there, we could talk about most of these. I'm not sure if the final line is there as well. Technical depth is needed as a UI UX person. So this touches a bit on the onboarding part of Web3 developers that we were talking about. And yeah, this is what came to mind for next week's call. Do you guys have any more thoughts?
I want to do a thumbs up, but like...
Yeah, I was looking for the thumbs up. Yeah,
You're
there's
gonna
no
need to
emotion,
open your
no
mind.
emoticons.
Yeah. It's tricky because StreamYard looks better when we're publishing it to YouTube, and it gives me the shorts, and it's ready to stream to the outer world. So I'm getting used to it, but I do feel the lack of that tool. Maybe eventually I'll try to complement this with something that I can have overlaying on my computer to have the thumbs up feature on the side.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, so yeah, if nothing else, I'm going to drop this on the Discord, and we can work on it asynchronously. And let's crack on because we're getting to the end of the time, and I still wanted to talk about what? Okay, so this point is really just something that we covered on previous calls. We've spoken about like this framework for multiple language front ends, and I've sort of decided that I'm going to try to make our Docusaurus installation use this kind of framework. It's tricky in nowadays with so much AI and automatic everything. We don't want to, we don't have that much budget to go and translate the whole website over and over or reward voluntary translators. But I felt like it could be interesting to do it. And so we're going to give it a shot. Ideally, we'll have this as a data structure layer and maybe some kind of human reviewer. So this would be actually the format for recording strings in several languages. Plus, I think DeepL is a commonly known translator, even in academia. So we could use those kinds of endpoints for an initial translation. She'll auto translate, and then a human reviewers layer, which is where we could use something like Localizely. I'm not sure. I never know how to mention it. Localizely. I think it's this similar to this. These are platforms where you, instead of having this in your backend and that's it, these expose it, all the strings, so that people can log in, and I'm Portuguese, so I was assigned to only translate the Portuguese language. Okay, so actually this and this is what I already had detailed here. Any feedback?
That's great. The sort of language part is a big deal. Localizedly, I've not heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure one of the projects I work with is using it. I think it's Vesper that was using it for their translations. For a long time, they were just in English, and now you can use them in several languages. Okay, we're coming to the end of the time. Maybe this could be something that we bring to next week's call a bit, but it just crossed my mind, this concept of where in like the beginnings of crypto we had this statement, cypherpunks write code. Maybe I'm biased because we're running this project about UI UX, but even on Cardano, with all the discussions back and forth, how should we do governance? Why is it not working? Why are people not engaging? I think our equivalent to this statement would be something like this, where if we reinvent governance with nice UX, with referral dynamics between users, with, I don't know, decentralized data structures on the back end, creating great apps could be the equivalent, like in the sense that it catalyzes different behavior. In imagining, for example, our abstention rate reducing from 85% of the ADA is not even participating in governance. I think UI UX could greatly contribute to even shape Cardano.
I mean,
am I overstating it?
Yeah, I personally think you totally are, because we have tried these experiments with like changing technology, but I think governance is more like a culture rather than like a make a better app thing.
Okay, I sort of agree with that as well, but that's why, for example, if I was to fork one of those gov tools, I would rework and remove drep from everywhere and just put voters. And so that's my way of using the UI UX of my app, of my fork of cgov, for example, to try to shape the culture. And if I, in that spirit of like in a governance tool, if I start being more in your face about rationales, I am incentivizing a culture of leveraging each other's, reviewing each other, building on each other's comments and all that. So I take your point.
You're not incentivizing, you're forcing. The moment you force, people will like resist even more.
Well, for example, governance maybe is even in an earlier stage than Catalyst, right? We've had that experience. And I think most everyone agrees that the Catalyst, not even the milestone reviews, but just the community reviews and all that, they're not really yielding as much result because people want to know what others rated things, but it's just not easy enough. It's not easy. Sorry, I can't come up with other terms. Do you take my point? Do you see what I'm getting to?
I agree with your point.
I didn't mean force it. I just mean make it available, make it an option for you to be a concerned citizen that reads other people's reviews.
Yeah, so that is my key thing. Like, why would I be a concerned citizen, right? Like, I have my 5,000 ADA, 10,000 ADA, and like there are people with billions of ADA out there. So what would make me a concerned citizen? Like, even if I vote with my 5,000 ADA, nothing is going to change.
Let me just check my, we're a bit in overtime here. Let me just toggle my VS Code to governance. And I have a document here. I drafted this. Let me just bring it back on this. Does that make sense? Why would you vote with 50 ADA? these are features that are in the UX. If they are in the UX, they may happen. If they're not in the UX, that's when you're forcing people to not do this.
This is actually a good idea, I think. Like if you are creating like a moat around your views, and like your views, yeah, it's kind of like X, right? Like if your views become like something of value, then you get like a dopamine hit. So yeah, maybe that is like a way to do it.
Yeah, this is just a small rant. I've recently started like speaking to my computers and that it writes, and sometimes I get these little rants that are easier to capture this way. So, but anyway, let's come back to design. Thanks for the feedback, and yeah, we could segue between this and the Uroi problem, where they captured the user base and now arguably they've exploited it to their benefit. And the only countermeasure, again, is social campaigning and education. Again, like you were pointing out, culture, right? But we're a bit over time already. So let me know if you have any thoughts, please, but let's try to keep it snappy. Okay. Yeah, so that was an interesting exchange as well. In terms of like next week, maybe hopefully we'll have time and other designers, and we can see a bit like between everything that we spread this project, all the directions that we spread it into, how much do designers agree that it's not just designing UI UX, you need to work towards this and this and this, etc. But let's move on. Yeah, I think that's the end of it. We're just 6 minutes over, not too bad. Guys, the links are all working except for the last one. We would love to see you in our Discord. Yeah, we are where we are, and we count on your feedback and your contributions and requests to shape this project. So yeah, keep in touch. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has any closing remarks. Thanks, Tara. Tara saying thanks in the chat. Happy weekend to everyone. Okay. See you in the next one. Bye.